KVCI, we're on. Go.
Now we're just going to have an open forum where we're going to ask questions to all of the gentlemen here that are actually possessing a wealth of knowledge about the information that we've incurred since we've been here in Rosewood. We've got Dr. G.B.R. White, UCF and Valencia instructor. We've got the Reverend Robinson here, and we've got none other than KVCI's own George Rhymes. And so we have literally from the classroom to the woods, we've been given a wealth of information about African American history and how it pertains to us and how we're linked to Rosewood. If you would, Dr. White, just open up with your experience in this short time.
Well, Rosewood represented black manhood at the best. We see people like Sylvester Carey and his relatives and other men deciding not to run but to fight and defend their homes, their families, their wives, their community. And this was something that was new for many whites to see, especially in the Deep South, that's in Florida. And also it represented a defiance that they were not going to be frightened and be scared away from their property and their livelihood. So Sylvester Carey and his people represented that we are who we are. We're strong, we're vibrant, and we're fighting, and we will continue to fight for self-determinism, justice, and freedom and equality.
Thank you. And Mr. Robinson, from beginning to end, can you give me a little bit more about your experience coming to Rosewood? Were the people receptive of you?
Well, yes, some were, and some we really didn't get a chance to speak with. They'll ride by and they'll wave and they'll speak, but then, you know, we come in here one morning with my grandsons, and this area was thick like it is across the street over there, and we come in here with machetes, chainsaws, and axes, and pruning devices, and we come in here and we cleared all of this out, you know, until
Chip grinder?
Your chip grinders and little backhoe machines and everything you can name that they come in and clear this out. And we cleared the path out all the way back this way to the railroad track. We even cleared the tracks, where the dome, the mountain where the track was at. And this started with Marvin, Mr. Marvin Dunn, and our relationship started back in the years. And he was a psychologist in a civil case that I was involved in down in Miami, and our relationship grew. And when he purchased this, he wanted to know if I wanted to be involved. He had understood that I had fell sick with the disease, with cancer, and it was something to help give me something to do, and then give my grandchildren a good God, a whirlpool of experiences of history, understanding things. In the early 1400s, and I heard them talk about the mothership Jesus in the 1500s, but in the early 1400s, a man by the name of Antonio Conchavis, he picked up the first 10 black slaves off the west coast of Africa, okay? And it developed and started into the slave trade that led to where we are here now. And our history bears all the relevance, okay, of our struggle. There was a time that he couldn't be a doctor, not recognized. You couldn't be in no major university, not recognized. You didn't have any rights, okay? And those people that was here in Rosewood, they didn't have any rights. Our rights only came in 1964 when we got the right to cast them down. We talking about the early 1900s, you know, in 1923. And for people to be an independent people, this is part of our heritage that we definitely must be proud of. And my experience here, from start to finish, and we are not done yet, okay? This going to be, I believe, going to be the site. I don't know for sure, because it really haven't been decided. Mr. Dunn, he know, but he had told me officially this is the site, but he let me know he believed this is going to be the site where we're going to do the train depot, because they used to stop right up here and a well right down the street here, but I can't take you there, okay, because on another guy's property where they used to come in and get the water. And then the other place would be Cedar Keys where they go in and turn, okay? And from my personal experience out here is we come in one morning and we found the white hanger hanging out there on the front, and then it was moved. And we had a gentleman to come up and talk to us about, you know, us not putting a foot on his property and this kind of stuff right next door. And he come and he kind of like stayed around the area to make certain, like you guys was, that the guy stopped and talked to you guys about the private property deal, okay? So we kind of honored that, you know. Not that we was afraid, you know, because it wasn't, but we honored that. And there's nothing no greater than teaching you young people respect and respect the rights of others. Now I'm gonna tell you something about me. I'm not in opposition of removing the rights, not even of the clan. I'm gonna tell you why. If I remove his right, I remove my right as well as the act of freedom, okay? Because I can do like he do, you know what I mean? There's nothing that'll hinder me if I decided, but I chose not to, okay? But I oppose. I have the right to be in opposition and to oppose and try to do it through the meaningful manner by moral concepts and principles, through the respect and understanding the ethics of God and our religious points of view. But not to a point of view that I believe that you're supposed to allow people to spit in your face, trample all over you. I don't believe that's part of what God wants to see. Because after all, he made us warriors, okay? And he made some of us priests. And those that are warriors do what warriors do, okay? Sustain the peace, okay? You know, so along those lines there, Brother Ryan's here, he's been an inspirator for the Rosewood project. And we hoping that we can get the Masonic fraternity to fall in, especially the brothers from the northern jurisdiction, to get behind Mr. Marvin Dunn, in behalf of Mr. Carey and Miss Carey and those fellas that decided that they wasn't going to run. That was our heroes, okay? That went through these woods out here and died in these woods. That they would get behind us from that point of view, because there is an honorary organization, and it played a vital role in our history, and it played a vital role right here in Rosewood.
Thank you so much for that wonderful walk down history lane, and we are very appreciative to the work that you've done. Your grandsons, we would not have been able to walk this property and to see the things that we've seen and to get a visual of where the people were, where they walked, the train depot, had you all not taken the time to come through here with machetes and to do what you did to clear a path for us to come in here and to see and to do so. We thank you for the time, the sweat of your brow, the work of your hand, and we just pray that the Lord will return it to you, because what you've done has not been a selfish thing. It's been something that has helped us, and you all are preserving history. You're preserving history, and this is something that will be in our conversation for years to come. It's something that we can say, well, I wasn't there at Rosewood, but years later, I was able to go onto the properties, and I can now say to my family members that I've walked the Rosewood property and I've heard their stories. My feet have tread the same paths as some of them, and had it not been for the grace of God, it could have been me. And so we owe it to ourselves and to our nation and our culture of people to preserve the history of mankind. We are mankind. And so with that question, we're going to go over to George, Brother George here, and we're going to ask him, George, if you could just tell us about your plight. We know that you all are doing this work, and it goes without need to say that this is a costly journey. It takes time, it takes money, it takes effort, and you all are coming from all the way from Valdosta, and so that in itself is even a greater selfless act, to work to help preserve history and to pass it on to people that may be able to embrace it, and because of other reasons that people may not embrace it, they in fact may reject it. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience during your tenure? I know you participate in many things throughout the state of Florida and Georgia, but with this particular part of history with regards to Rosewood, can you tell me what it is that you've had as your greatest eye-opener or your greatest experience during your walk with them?
Well, first of all, I just love the humanity for man, as Mr. Marvin Dunn and always Mr. John Robinson, and the way he directs his sons as well as his grandsons. And not only that, when we met in this area here, to see more white people who was of the same mindset that this history should be kept and not lost, it touched me more than anything. And we had a beautiful gathering out here, and to my surprise, the local news coverage from the newspapers was tremendous. But to put it in a pocket of a circle, like I want to do it, number one, the problem with the whole Rosewood scenario is no different from other aspects of history in your individual and local communities that is being lost. It's lost because our black schools of yesteryear was closed, but we didn't erect a monument to show that that school was once in force and active. And so when we tell our great-grandchildren that we actually attended that school, we don't even have a marker there. And so that history will be lost. Our children really by right could call us liars because we didn't erect anything. And so number one, Rosewood, the problem is we have a Rosewood in every community. We have a Rosewood in even our great-granddaddy, in that we don't pass the history on to the children of today. And so that is lost. And that is a problem. It's a problem that we don't know that when the first transatlantic slaves started in the year 1555, very few blacks have been taught that. They're not taught that King Khufu built the first pyramid in Africa. They don't know that most every character in the Bible is black. They won't mention that. And so that's a Rosewood in the religious circles. They won't tell you that the whole Washington, D.C. was laid out and blacks played a major role in that. They won't tell you that. And so that's a Rosewood in that aspect. They won't tell you about we were not able to read, write, and to learn our own language. In fact, when we came here, they won't tell you that you were not a human being. You were 3/5 of a human being. You was nothing more than a piece of livestock. And then they'll often tell you at this dispensation that all other immigrants came to this country and they are excelling over blacks. But they have to realize, and they forget, and we won't tell our children, that we were not immigrants. We didn't come here as immigrants. And we personally, my interpretation, we didn't even come as slaves. Our ancestors came as prisoners. And that means as prisoners, that means they came, that means they couldn't go back. All of the Japanese came, but they didn't like it here, they had somewhere else to go back. They could speak their mother language. They knew their culture. They knew their religious aspects of their belief system. We didn't have that. When we came here, we were disconnected from our family members back in Africa. We didn't even know what tribe we was from. And so to make a long story short, that's a Rosewood. Now that's the problem. Now I'm through with the problem. Now let's go to the solution. The solution is to do what I just said. Educate your children. Educate the people that you come in contact just about Rosewood. And tell them that Brother RHYNES said that there's a Rosewood not only just here in Rosewood, Florida, but there's a Rosewood in our individual lives by not passing history on of our mother, father, grandchildren, etc., 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 and the historical aspects of the community in which you live. Now, once you begin to tell your story like that to everybody you meet, let them know that you are black and you are proud. And you, sister, you're a little darker than the rest of us. Don't think that you are cursed as they taught me when I was little because of ham. You are not cursed, you are black. And you are proud because the black is the original on this planet. Each one of us had to be 9 months, or unless we were premature, was in our mother's womb for 9 months. That's in a house of darkness. So you got to go through darkness in order to get to light. If you want a butter bean, you want to eat a butter bean, that butter bean got to be dropped into the darkness of the earth. So I'm black and I'm proud and have the knowledge to define it. Now, my last point, the benefits. The problem, this is the benefits. Once we begin to do this, our children will know the history of themselves. And if you know the history of yourself, who would put drugs in what you love? But if you don't know yourself, then you'll disrespect yourself and you'll end up hating yourself simply because you don't know the greatness of yourself. But when you know the greatness of yourself, you're not going to destroy yourself. And you're not going to take a gun and put it to your brother's or sister's head and destroy them. Because as Doc said earlier, we are all intertwined intertwined and interconnected together. So this is the benefit of us keeping and maintaining the history of Rosewood. This is the benefits of us uniting with each other to know who we are. Let nobody tell you that you are the worst that came to Africa. Tell them in the first place, tell them the Japanese came, the Germans came, the Jews came, but tell them you was brought. And after you was brought here, then you was bought and sold. But at the best, we rise. And so we're going to close out on that note. But I want you to know the benefits of knowing the truth, and we got to maintain that. Peace be unto you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I thank you all for coming. Thank you all. Thank you, my beautiful sister.
Did you get the sound of dogs?
Oh, wait, hold up. Shh. Wait. Shh. Hear the dogs? Hear the dogs? Listen to the dogs. Can you imagine if you have people at you with guns? Can you imagine being chased through these woods? Listen. Can you imagine running through these woods for your life and you hear ferocious dogs chasing after you and guns? We're in Rosewood and we are coming to the close of this tour. Listen to the dogs. This is kvci.blogspot.com. The history of a people. We should never again let the great history of anybody be lost in the cosmos of time. We're gonna leave you now. Bye-bye. We're gone.